All right, everybody. Nick Wooten with Consumer Trial Lawyer Academy again. Thank you guys for joining me. For those of you who don't know, again, I'm Nick Wooten. Been practicing law for 26 years all over the United States. Most people that know me know my reputation as one of being a courtroom lawyer who actually tries cases, and I also do the work from intake all the way through the appellate work on some of my cases. I'm always happy to co-counsel and share that load with others when possible. But I am the guy when we walk in the courtroom. I'm the person that tries the case, and I do that anywhere, anybody, anytime, as long as the case is worth the investment of my time and effort. After doing that for the better part of 26 years, a lot of people have called on me and rely on me to help them take their case to the next level. So I'm now sharing my insights online with the idea that I can help you be more comfortable and more certain and better as you take your cases to the courtroom. Hopefully I can answer some questions for you, help you shorten your learning curve. If you don't have more than 100 jury trials under your belt and you haven't tried more than 1,000 bench trials, then maybe what I can share with you will help you somewhere along your path. And that's part of the greatness of the Consumer Lawyer Academy, the Consumer Lawyer Movement, and the Trial Lawyer Movement. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I've had wonderful mentors over the years who have shared with me, and I'm trying to do my part to pay it forward and give back. So today we're going to talk about deposition preparation. What do I do to get ready? While these talking head videos are going to be relatively short, I'm going to be supplementing and layering these on as I acquire the skills to actually take you into the how-tos of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So deposition preparation, we're talking through the mental aspects of how I go about this, really for you to visualize this process. What I try to do in deposition preparations, first of all, I want to make sure that I am doing what needs to be done. So if I'm taking a deposition for a car wreck, Mrs. Smith ran into the back of Mrs. Jones, as we are so fond of saying around my office nowadays. Those cases, oftentimes they involve less than 20 documents. The testimony itself about what happened at the wreck, the events that caused the crash, can be anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. Very often those depositions don't go an hour. It'd be hard to make them go an hour if you tried to. You'd have to ask the same questions 14 times, which is not generally something you want to do in straightforward scenarios. On the other hand, I have taken corporate representative depositions in cases with hundreds of thousands of documents in play, and those depositions go on for days. And I might prepare for those depositions for a month, where it's almost like trial preparation. All I'm doing is laying out the documents that I need to go over. And usually, personally, I'm using my iPad. I'm using the Trial Pad suite of products, or litigation pad. And I'm taking my PDF documents and I'm highlighting those documents for the areas that I need to examine on. And then I'm typically giving them to my videographer, my court reporter, my trial tech, and we're broadcasting those onto a screen in front of the witness that can also be shown on the screen with our video production at trial. And really, in those scenarios, you can't spend enough time getting ready. You're essentially getting ready to examine a witness for trial in that scenario. So you really have to know the order of evidence you plan to use at trial. And you have to know what documents are critical to that. And you have to know what you really want to get out of the witness. So there's two extremes, and they're polar extremes. There's, this Mrs. Jones ran into Mr. Smith scenario where you can do, I can do, I've done as many as 5 of those depositions in a single day. And that's an 8-hour day. We've just piled them up back to back to back to back. And then I've done 30B6 depositions that went on for days. So I've been through all those extremes. And here's what I would say is key in your deposition preparation. Know where you are on that continuum, right? Know what the magnitude of your case is. Know the importance of the witness. Know the volume of materials you have to cover. Understand, and this is what's part and parcel of having done a lot of trials that a lot of people don't get. Understand what you need to do with the witnesses, right? Know what it's going to sound like in front of a jury. How do you do that? Go try cases. If you haven't tried civil cases, go volunteer to do some criminal defense work. Go try cases, get in front of a jury, see people react to testimony, hear it, process it, flat-footed in the heat of the moment, and comprehend how you believe it's going to play out and how the jury is receiving it. Glance around at the jury, depending on whether you're in state or federal court, etc. You might be able to look more openly, or you might only be able to glance. If you're not able to look at the jury because you're asking the questions, have a trusted colleague, confidant, assistant there to watch the jury. Know how these things are landing, and know how you think they will land based on your experience. That's a great advantage I have over most people I walk into a courtroom with nowadays. They believe that they're going to tell a story, and they think that that story is going to be, a good argument, a good story. I know what I'm going to do to that story before I ever walk into the courtroom, and I know why it's not going to go that way for them. So that's because of years of going into the courtroom and doing this. And so until you have that, some of it is gut feel. Some of it is bouncing it off more senior people who've tried more cases. Some of it is just being a little ballsy and just going for it, and seeing how it lands. But what I want to do is take the mystery and the magic out of this process for you and encourage you to get in the courtroom and get your verdicts. We're in a very unique time economically and historically where corporate America is terrified of walking in the courtroom, and there are not many lawyers who are anxious to get them in there. Hopefully, this will help you move into that tier of people that can get your case ready, take it to the courtroom, get your client justice, get your client the verdict they deserve, get your client full compensation for what's been done to them. And if you're in the right scenario, really take a whack at a corporate wrongdoer who has really, harmed your client and potentially many, many other people. So, super important that you know whether you need 10 minutes to get ready or you need 10 weeks. Super important to know whether this deposition is going to take you half an hour or 4 days. Super important to know that you have all your materials together, they're organized correctly, you have become familiar with them. And when I say familiar, my version of familiar is different than other people. My version of familiar is fanatically, insanely OCD, knowing everything in the material that I've got to use, to the point that not only can I use the documents in front of me, but when someone says something stupid that contradicts a document that's 1,000 pages away, I know where that document is, and I can go pull it and bring it up immediately if that's what I need to do to deal with that stupid comment that was just made. And that's incredibly important when you're dealing with corporate witnesses, because you want to be super polite and super nice to them, but you also want to make sure that you control the narrative and you don't let them give a BS corporate gobbledygook yada yada answer that's nada. So the degree of materials you have to cover, the intensity of the deposition, the importance of the deposition, the amount that's at stake, all those factors into how much time you're going to spend preparing. But the bottom line is this: never take a deposition when you're not prepared to go forward and ask the good questions that you need to know that when you're done, you have what you need from the witness. In Mrs. Jones ran into Mr. Smith scenario, you should come out of there with essentially an admission of wrongdoing, an acknowledgement that had they driven a little differently, the crash wouldn't have occurred. When you're talking about a corporate defendant who's been a professional witness and you've spent 3 weeks getting ready, you should essentially come out of there with everything that you believe you need from that corporate testimony, at least the portion that's noticed, so that you have everything that you need to do to get past summary judgment and to get the relevant testimony at trial. And that's the way you have to think about it along that continuum. But there's no such thing as over preparation. By the same token, we also have limited time in each day, so you have to know how much is enough for each scenario. And that's something that comes with repetition. In other words, take more depositions, hear more testimony. If you don't have cases set for trial, go to the courthouse and watch some trials and watch the jury. Get yourself in front of live testimony somehow. Sit in with your colleagues, friends, partners, whatever. Make sure that you can start processing on the fly what you're hearing from people and how it's going to sound to a jury. And the only way to do that is to expose yourself to more and more of it. Also, we're eventually going to have everything set up on my website where you can schedule time with me to talk about things like this and go over your own specific case scenarios in a confidential setting. We'll get all that figured out. That's not quite there yet, but that's where we're headed. And, hopefully those type of personalized coaching services we'll have available on my website, Nick Wooten LLC, in the not too distant future. That's things that we're building out at the moment. So with that said, let me end on this video with this. Always know when you walk in your deposition that you're ready. And only you can know if you're ready. I don't typically try to reschedule depositions. I try to lock them in and do them. And I always make sure that I'm ready, even if it means I stay up all night and I run on, my favorite saying, Adderall and assholishness. Whatever it takes, you get it done, but you be ready. Do what you have to do. And do a good job and make it meaningful, because, these things aren't cheap. And you want these to be inflection points where the defendants understand that they're not going to win the case. And if you can do that consistently, you will turn cases sooner. And the ones that have to go to trial, you will be prepared to go to trial, and you'll have the testimony you need, and you'll be able to walk in comfortably prepared to win. Thank you for listening. Thank you for having this time with us, and look forward to another video soon on the Consumer Trial Lawyer Academy. If this has meant anything to you, then like and subscribe and tell all your lawyer friends. Thanks. Bye.